Welcome back to the channel, everybody. It's the Tampa Bay Buccaneers Madden 20 franchise rebuild, episode 130. Now, I haven't posted a video here in a little bit in this series, as we had just wrapped up the Super Bowl, and the whole plan was going to be to do a long-term sim with you live, and then look to do something else. Obviously, content that I make and have made for years does rely around like the Madden release schedule. So when there's a new Madden coming, usually I'm trying to wrap up series and get prepared to basically do it all over again on the newest game. But as I'm sure many of you are aware of, the Madden 21 news is pretty much all out there, and as far as franchise goes, we got patch notes for what's coming to franchise in Madden 21. And it wasn't even like a good patch that fixed something or improved stuff tremendously. It was like bug fixes. So it's made me take a step back a little bit and think about, okay, what do I want to do? Not what do I do that fits within like Madden's release cycle, because they're not doing much for me as far as franchise. And other than, you know, the benefit of making Madden 21 content that's a bit more searchable for a while when the game is brand new, it doesn't really excite me. I would like to make some content that makes me a bit more excited. I have a lot of ideas for different types of rebuilds here I could do. I've experimented, you know, I did like the John Gruden rebuild a couple years ago. I did the offense first, defense first. The undrafted quarterback deal was pretty cool. So, I think what is just going on right now is I'm trying to figure out, alright, if I want to do a really big series, is Madden 21 even good enough? Like, is that exciting enough? I feel like right now I want to experiment with some other ideas, and that's something I've talked about now for a couple months, like more miniature rebuilds where I'm having like one specific goal and maybe it takes me a handful of episodes. You know, the Rhett Sheffield whole deal, undrafted quarterback, then we go to the Super Bowl with Martin Medical. That was such a cool experience, and it didn't take a year to do. I guess where I'm at right now is I'm kind of more interested in exploring some older games of Madden and games that had more in-depth, interesting franchise modes, and see if there's something I could do on there, because I think that would be more fun. And I know that, you know, the hardcore franchise fans that follow my content, I think that you would all enjoy that as well. So I've got some experimenting to do. I plan to do maybe some live streaming where I go through some older games and get some feedback and figure out some games that offer an interesting set of features to where I can go through different ideas. Like, I'd love to do a Moneyball series where I'm playing with a significantly lower salary cap than other teams. I think that would be super interesting from a roster building standpoint, and anything that makes the game more challenging in an interesting way can make for a fun series. It doesn't have to be on the newest version of Madden, and in many ways I think that would hold me back creatively, because the new franchise is Madden 20's franchise, which hasn't gotten that much better in a decade. So I'm just thinking about what else I can do, because I have options. I don't feel like I'm boxed into making content on Madden 21. Anyway, I know that I tend to talk a lot. My videos increase in length, it seems, year by year. But basically right now, I'm just kind of waiting things out in the meantime. Like, I know a lot of you still want to see Bucs, and I mean, there's not really a reason to not do it if I don't have an idea I'm super excited about right now on a game I really want to play. So let's continue with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers as we continue the journey of Jeffrey Kitchen, Clinton Mills, Gabe Ventura, running back Ellis Norton, perhaps the best running back on my channels since Perry Cummings. It's been a little over a week now, and I gotta get re-familiar with this roster a bit, and the contract situations and everything. Like, I love going through just more off seasons to see how the team changes and get, you know, more surprises. There are things I like about these Maddens that, I mean, are better than the older classic ones that have more features. Like, you know, the rise for players like Ellis Norton is more possible in a game like Madden 20 just because of development changes over the course of multiple years as you finish high. But I want to explore some older Maddens because, like, I've been super hardcore into franchise now for a while. But I mean, when I was really young playing those older Maddens in franchise, it's not like I knew what I knew now and I understood systems and development and contracts and all that stuff. I just like playing the game, and there was something about it. And over time, I realized, okay, these individual elements make me want to play these games nonstop. But I'm not going to get into all that again. I already had an intro where I talked about it. So let's focus on the team here and what we're going to do in this offseason today. I'll spend all my upgrade points as well. We have Barry Roy here, who has truly developed into a very important player here on the team, as his tight end skills have gotten really strong, and he's about to reach his contract season, and he's going to get paid. Cambrick Massey, I think that as time goes on, we're going to expect more from him, but now he's going to be entering his, I think that would be a 5th-year option situation. We got some interesting scenarios on this team. We moved so quickly for a while that, you know, we went from Ellis Norton being this rookie and then developing to now he's a veteran, and we're just trying to see him hang on to the top of his game for as long as possible. And then we have Jeffrey Kitchen, now a Super Bowl champion. Let's go improviser here. I like working on some of these secondary skills. Throw under pressure, very important in this game. Here are the contract situations we need to take care of. We have some veterans along the offensive line. DeJuan Bailey, Dwayne Trawick. This kind of seems like it could be a difficult offseason with all these veterans. I do think things are getting a bit trickier along the offensive line, just because we are relying now on so many veterans. Lester, Bradley, Harris, all over 30 years old. We obviously do have Brian Lippett, and I think that the most logical thing is to have him take over the starting left tackle role and then consider what to do along the interior. Dwayne Trawick is now in his 30s, but he is still our best safety, and DBs, for whatever reason in Madden, they are comfortable with 1-year contracts, so we can probably keep him around. And then when you look at linebacker, obviously it's nowhere near where it was at multiple points in this series. You consider Levante David, Devin White toward the beginning, and then you consider Nathan Parson, Kyle Caver. We don't have anybody on that level any longer. We have Markel Daniels, and I think he'll continue to start. But who else wants to step up? DeJuan Bailey's coverage skills have certainly gone down. He wants $14 million a year. We certainly have a lot of cap space. I mean, we're in a situation now where Jeffrey Kitchen is on his rookie deal, at least for the time being, so 1-year deals and short-term stuff is not going to cause too many issues. For Tyrone Bradley here, I just want to see his awareness rating quick, and it's a 90. At center, that's really important. I don't know if it has importance in simming, it does in watching, and I tend to make decisions that benefit, like, if we're going to watch the team. And because we always watch, like, playoff games, it's very easy to make those decisions. But I think signing Bradley for another year makes some sense. If we want to bring in a potential future starter, we can do so. Bradley will not take the 1-year offer yet. Franchise tag on him would be 11.7. I may actually give that to him just because I can't see me using all this cap space. We certainly have the cap space right now. I would like to sign Leonard Lester. He's still very highly rated and would be very difficult to replace. We already have some young offensive linemen developing. I think it's just a cycle where you're always going to have, 1 or 2 developing. But he didn't take that. The tag for him would be 14.2, which is 3 more than Bradley, but obviously Lester is 13 overall better at this stage of his career. So I got a decision to make there. DeJuan Bailey. I think I want to keep him around for another season. We have 2 really good corners, but, I always try to go 3 deep here at corner whenever possible. But I'm not getting these to go today. Some of these deals are just too large. I can't see Ventura getting this contract in free agency. I guess it's possible, but I think that we're probably going to let him test. There we go. We signed Christian Wilkins, so we'll keep a little safety depth on the team. No career sacks for Trey McCoo, and he's played a little bit every year. That's a fair amount of snaps. That's over 700. No career sacks. I think these imbalanced pass rush skill sets are very misleading. I don't think you get a lot of production from these players all the time. Can't sign Darvion Mitchell to a 1-year contract. Running out of players here. I would like to sign Dwayne Trawick to a 2-year offer. I think that having some veterans on defense will be key as we try to develop players at other spots. So we raised the contract by about 10%, and that's not enough. So we basically got one deal done, I think. And we're just going to go to free agency now, trying to figure out everything else after I decide who gets the franchise tag. And I think that's going to be Leonard Lester. Although I kind of want a multi-year deal. But we'll tag him, $14 million, keep our highest rated offensive lineman. So we're left with $65 million in cap space, but we just let a lot of veterans go to free agency. And I imagine it's going to be tough to keep a lot of them. Trawick, 9 teams interested. Bailey has 5. Bradley has 3. I know I'm going to offer to Bradley. Ventura, no interest right now. I should offer to him in this round as well. Dubois, I kind of counted on losing him anyway. Well, let's go take a look at what the roster looks like at this moment, as we have 41 players on the roster. And we almost have a starting offensive line. We have Lippett, Hakeem, and Lester, all definitely starting caliber. Ventura would make some sense here, coming back at wideout. And then defensively, we have Byers. I thought if we had Trawick back, that would be a fine situation. But we're going to have to think about safety, linebacker. And then do we try to bring back DeJuan Bailey, or say our top 2 are fine and then draft a new 3rd corner? That may be the smartest option. Looking at our picks, we have our 1 through 7 plus an additional 4, and we pick from 32. So we'll check on the draft class very soon. We got to prioritize, what do we need to do the most here? We have 2 good starting receivers. We have 2 good starting corners. So prioritizing either position seems like the wrong idea when there's still a draft to be held. Well, that's really interesting. Diamond Sap has superstar dev at 69 overall. You very rarely will see that high a dev for that low of overall. But CPU teams in this game obviously like those players a lot, which I think is a good thing, obviously, because they can still develop even if they're older. Especially because it doesn't take a super high overall to produce in this game. I think I still want Ray Leak Bennett on the team, solid backup ratings, so I will offer a smaller 1-year deal. Always tough to get these to work. You don't want to go too low, but I mean, $5 million here roughly is way too low, I guess. I like how I go through pointing out like all the most important things that we need to do, and then go sign like depth players who likely won't get any playing time. I don't know why I do that. Obviously, the glaring need on the team is at linebacker, and it's just not the strongest position group, it seems like, in our overall league. Trevor Neal. Don't think I've heard of him. 81 speed, 81 coverage. Okay. Obviously, I like to sign a veteran and then draft somebody, and then pick from the 2 players who gets the playing time. So, that shouldn't be too difficult. I should raise it, though, so I hopefully get him to accept after 1 round. That'd be fair. I feel like I should go for Trawick. It's just really competitive. Really competitive. But I kind of want to make this work. What would it take anyway? 21.6 is a lot of cash. And that would get us in first place. I don't want to start over at kicker. It's nice to have that really low 7th round salary and everything. But at some point, low-rated kickers do cost you some games. We'll see if I can get them for like half of the fair offer. I'd love to bring back Ventura. If he has no bids here in the first round, I'm obviously going to put something out there. But not a multi-year deal or anything. But I want this to maybe be accepted. So I feel like I got to get that closer to 70. Obviously, one-year deals I'm willing to go pretty high on. Let's try that. I know we had both tackle spots opened up too, so do I try signing Lonnie Mccreary? He's only 26 years old with Star Dev, so that kind of seems like something I should do. By the way, if I wanted to free up cap space, it's still too early in Brendan Galloway's deal to benefit whatsoever from releasing him. I forget where we are in terms of his contract, but yeah, it's way too early. We're actually in 2039. That's unbelievable. We're 10 years from the end of franchise mode. It goes 30 years. So looking at our whole situation here, I'll be more aggressive trying to bring back Ventura. Really try to boost this up. 8.6 million, 79 points. That is more than fair. Let's also give an offer to tight end Steven Pierce, who has some really good receiving ratings. Always want to make sure you have a couple good pass catchers here on the roster, so maybe a 2-year deal, a bit below fair offer money per year. Let's see, McCreary's the number 11 right tackle. Yeah, I think we should extend an offer. This would take him all the way to regression. 99 points. Still got cap space too. Now it's 108. That should be a good lead. This seems like it's been a very busy offseason or free agency. Yeah, that's a lot of players I've given offers to. Increasing some offers here now just because I have the cap space to do it. Would really like to get a bunch of these accepted so we can start to create a draft plan. Alright, someone's accepting a contract. I'm definitely signing somebody. We start with Lonnie McCreary. But we're not done there. Dwayne Trawick's coming back. Neil. What? Rejected by Bradley? Oh, man. I know I gave a pretty good offer to him as well. Wow. So where'd he go? 99 points. I wish it showed other offers. I feel like mine was 99 or something like that. Wow. And of course, he's going to Carolina, staying in division. We did not give an offer to DeJuan Bailey. I just felt like, you know, with our 2 starting corners, I think I want to look at drafting a nickel. I was also a bit worried about some of those coverage ratings. I know his overall is high, but the coverage ratings were extremely low for an 85 overall. Travis Dubois gets a deal from Minnesota. Here are some other deals being given out. Really wish I had the XP sliders just dialed in perfectly. Like, I run tests to figure out, okay, what gets you more 90 overall players and whatnot, and we still end up with these free agencies where nothing truly exciting happens. Alright, so that's not going to happen. Surprised Ventura didn't take that. I feel like I have to increase it a little bit to get him to maybe accept. And obviously now we have more cap space to offer. Getting closer and closer to the fair offer for Landon Flanagan. 81 points now. Like, there's more. 4 more points. So we have tackle taken care of now. It's center that becomes the concern. There's still Grant Hensley, Dan Fowler, steep overall drop-off. I think I'll go big 1-year offer here after losing out on Tyrone Bradley. So it'll take a lot to get there, though. If I convert some salary to bonus, it might be enough to get the points up more. Like, that's 13.3, a lot of it guaranteed. Didn't go where I thought it would. 1 year, 16 million. Just because we have the cap space. After not bringing back DeJuan Bailey, we should sign a veteran corner just in case. And I like Tracy Hunter here because he has a very balanced skill set. And his slot archetype is 73. So I'm thinking Maybe even a 2-year deal. 2 years, $6 million. I don't know if that's really that good. I'm not sure that's gonna work. I'm gonna take away a little bit from this offer just so I can boost Hunter's offer. I'm already in the lead here. If I lose like this battle as I'm already like winning and giving that huge bid, like, go for it. Go pay $20 million for a year for a center. So now if we get the cap space near 3 after boosting the offer, points go to 55. That's a bit more competitive. All right, let's go talk about some rookies now. We got some scouting points and a better idea of some of our team needs. I think that if Ventura, goes somewhere else, we're looking at wide receiver 3 as a definite need. And I think a few different players we'd have to consider possibly overdrafting to bring in when you consider these second-round prospects who are third-round talents. I think one player that makes a lot of sense, though, Sylvester Columbo, thankfully had a really good combine and would be a very solid slot receiver, potentially day 1. If we're trying to draft a new slot corner, I think this corner class is kind of similar to the receiver class. A couple great players at the top, and then maybe you're not getting the best value going into day 2 in the draft, but there are still players worth selecting. I know we brought Dwayne Trawick back, but keep in mind this is a really good safety class, and one of the best values here in the whole draft is Isaiah Robbins. Hope I'm saying that name correctly. I don't think I've seen that one at all going through franchise so many times. 6'2", with speed, pursuit, and coverage. Day 1 starter, even if he's late second talent. Hensley accepted. Okay, we got our center. Flanagan and Ventura accept as well. So plenty of successes here in free agency, and we only have a few million in cap space. Hardly ever do I maximize our space, but I feel like I really have this time around. At least I've used it all. You can, decide if I used it well. But, man, I really wanted Tracy Hunter. Maybe I'll still get Rayleigh Bennett. You know what? I think I'll free up that cap space and look at corner again. I think I should have done that in the previous round because now all these players have a lot of interest. And Hunter was the player I really wanted. Reed Gold doesn't have bad ratings here at all for backup, and the Patriots want to trade him. Contract year, though. Kind of want multiple years out of my next backup. Raymond Ryans. The skills are a bit lower. What would it take? Probably less than $8 million or whatever it would be to keep Bennett. Will you take a 6th round pick? No? Alright, how about Sherwin Stevenson? 88 overall player for 88 overall player. There we go. New backup quarterback for Tampa. And it's a deal that'll save us a bit of cap space as well, which would have been more useful in the previous stage, admittingly, but I can still try to do something with it. So we do have a starting 5 now at offensive line. I'm not sure why they don't just automatically put Lippett over here at left tackle, but he'll be there. We do need more tight end depth behind Barry Roy, but otherwise the offense is basically week 1 ready. The defense still needs a slot corner. Trawick and Byers at safety, that's a fine situation. We have 3 linebackers we can play. Neal, Daniels, Callaway. Daniels and Callaway are still young and getting better, but we should see if there's a chance in the draft to make a difference. But they would have to be really good prospects because we already have young players. It doesn't make sense to replace them with like players who are just a few overall lower. I mean, that's where they were when their careers began. We got to get someone that moves the needle. Then maybe some pass rush depth because we're thin there. I wonder if there's like a hybrid safety I could find that would even fit the slot role for us. Not a common archetype, though, out of these available players. I know we have Roten here at 72 overall. 66 zone coverage, 73 man at 85 speed. Yeah, he's got to play safety. All right, we're going back to tight end here, trying to sign veteran tight end Tim Matlock. 80 speed, 80 catching. And I will offer a 1-year contract at about $2.4 million. Actually, I think it's our last round here. I should make these deals a bit better. Otherwise, we go to free agency. It just becomes a very annoying process in preseason. Alright, I am going to look for a pass rusher now that has a really balanced skill set, even if nothing is super highly rated. I want a very tight spread here when it comes to the archetypes. Less than like 4. Clayton McWilliams, very balanced. The Patriots already have an offer for him, but perhaps we can top it. 2.2 million? 134 points. And then just to have a veteran on the roster, I'll give an offer to Floyd Dobbins. I know his zone coverage is super low. His slot archetype is a bit lower than his man-to-man, but I just want a veteran here if I can't figure this out in the draft. 81 points. That should get it done. We should have some cap space, a little bit left over for UDFAs. All right, 5th-year option. What do we got now? LaCambrick Massey. I think we got to pick this one up. We only have 2 corners really counting on right now, so we're picking up that option. Done deal there. Maybe I have one more stage here, free agency. I've just spent so much time in it today that it feels like I'm about to wrap it up. Something tells me this is going to be a longer off-season episode than some of the ones I've done recently. I've been talking a lot, spending a lot of time in free agency. I think a lot of it was like I had to get like reacquainted with the team after just a week and a half, whatever it is, away from seeing this roster. Yeah, the safety class, super deep. 4 first-rounders, and they're not all going in the first either. Like, Jazz Beekman. Could take him in the first round to play it safe. Or maybe Lyle Conley. I don't think signing Trawick was the best necessity, but I also couldn't look at the draft board and figure out what was deep, and I don't remember. If I had seen this, I don't know if I would have given him the offer. But it won't stop me from drafting a safety if that's what I want to do. For linebacker, the game just doesn't generate enough good linebacker prospects. We have like 2 first-rounders, and that's it. We're not going to be able to draft either one. How about this QB class? Only 1 quarterback projected above round 3. And Matt Herman, he just skipped the combine. He's like, I'm top 3 quarterback by default. Who cares? I still like the top 3 here for Miles Ridgeway. The combine, though, not great. Dobbins, Matlock, McWilliams, all accept offers. Okay, that was the last negotiating period at least. I don't know if I got all of them taken care of, though. I feel like I didn't. Still got 11 mil in space. We made it to the draft, everybody. We're about to begin. Well, let's take a look at our depth chart and just figure out what are the most important things to do with our picks. When we have 5 starting offensive linemen and 2 of them are still not in our long-term plans at this point. An interior lineman at some point makes sense. Also, can't ignore receiver if an opportunity pops up, but this does not seem like the right offseason to do that. So this feels like a very defensive-heavy class potentially. How do we get the best difference maker? There are really good safeties that won't go early. The really good linebackers might go too early. But that doesn't mean we shouldn't try if one of them falls out of the top 10. This could be interesting. Let's begin. I am definitely willing to move up the board, but the timing has to be right. There's Kenny Turbin at linebacker. There's Sean Patton at outside linebacker. Both are early projected late round 1 talents. So I could just wait for one to go and try to trade up for whichever player's left. A difference-making linebacker in Madden, it is important. It can change an entire team. Broncos franchise, Miles Jack. Just one example on my channels. I feel like I can move up for a linebacker and still have the chance to get a good safety. A chance anyway. But I gotta count on maybe only getting one impact player in the early rounds. And I think if I had to choose, I'd like that to be at linebacker. Kenny Turbin has A- across the board here. He's going to be a low 70s overall player with 4.59 speed. And he's a field general, so there's going to be some foundation for coverage skills. Sean Patton's probably going to be better at coverage right away, a little bit worse in run defense, maybe a slightly better athlete. Given the players have such similar skill sets, I think the right thing to do is to wait for one to go and then plan our next move. So why don't we begin there? Go take running backs, quarterbacks, whatever it is. Receivers. Because I don't want to trade up into the top 10. Kenny Turbin. Early first round prospect. Late one talent goes number 3. There's no way I'm addressing linebacker. That was a dream. They both go top 5. Sometimes I feel the game hears me. Joe Callahan. I mean, trading up for him would be near impossible at this point. Allow me to prove it. Well, I'm not trading with Carolina regardless. They get Russ Booth going running back. Without giving up any futures, this is the best I can do. Can't do it. All I was asking for was one of the top linebackers to make it to like 13. Because that's where I think I can start to maybe make a move. But the elite talent's gone outside of Lamichael Ellis. I wonder if I could have gotten to here. Because that B-plus zone coverage, obviously he stood out. Justin Morris is one of the last elite players available. But when there's such good safety depth available, do I want to risk like 3 picks for one player or a really good safety plus potentially 1 or 2 more players, depending on what I do with that second and third round pick or whatever? Because I'd be willing to go safety first round maybe. Ezekiel Calhoun will likely be one of the first safeties off the board. But I do like Lyle Conley a lot, and he's kind of realistic to make it to 32. And what if I got a safety who had hybrid skills that could play the slot in the meantime and then move to full-time safety? Conley's hybrid. I didn't even realize that till now. And so is Brandon Hurst. So I think that's the new plan. That's the new blueprint. I haven't done that one before. All right, let's get moving here to 32. 80 overall, Justin Morris. Whoa. Do we have any concern that the safety I want could go? I don't think so. There goes Calhoun to the Steelers, always making a solid defensive pick. I'm glad I thought about the idea of playing a hybrid safety at corner. It's just, I connected the dots now. And we got a chance to make a really solid selection here. Round 1, pick 32. We are going to select safety, Lyle Conley. 4.56 40 though is a bit slow. Do we like Hurst more? 4.47. Awareness B-. Like hit power doesn't make a huge difference. Awareness and tackle pursuit. All right, the athleticism for Conley. The speed is going to be a little concerning. Mid-1 talent versus mid-1 talent. So we know there's going to be more speed here from Hurst. We are going to select Brandon Hurst. He's a better athlete, and I can't pick something that I think is powerful enough to take Conley over him. The awareness in the top 3 is nice, but we don't even know what could be a B- for Hurst. Still possible his awareness is solid, or at least close. So at the end, we're going to compare Conley to Hurst, but Brandon Hurst is going to be our pick here in the first round. A 74 overall hidden dev safety. Who wants more Buccaneers franchise rebuild? 38? Treywick's number, right? How'd you get that? Really tight skills here. 91 speed. I knew it was going to be high. Why did I get so excited? He ran a 4.4. Say hello to slot corner, day 1, Brandon Hurst. Feel like I already accomplished what I gotta do in this draft. This is a running back class, man. 376 plus. Lyle Conley, 75 overall. So we'll come back to him. Went like 8 picks after we selected. That's what's so interesting about the draft is, you know, there's a certain spot where a player to a team makes so much sense, but if they fall, predicting the fall if they make it past a certain team is really difficult. I love the draft. All right, almost on the clock again here in round 2. What can we do with it? The available board says our best pick would probably be Quentin Woods or Jonathan Whitaker. And maybe I agree. Obviously at linebacker, I'm more so just looking at who we have right now. Maybe Randy Dorsett later, but he's going to be a mid-60s player. So I think, how deep are these position groups then? We didn't do a lot of scouting at edge rusher. Got a couple players though to pick from, 3 at least. At receiver, it's always in the back of my mind. What can we do? Quentin Woods, Demarius Hitchens. Those are your top options. Early 3 talent for Hitchens at 24 years old. Late 3 for Woods at 22. And also Hitchens had a much better combine. But we still have Jeffries and Columbo down here. Late 2 talent for Columbo. Yeah, he makes a lot of sense here. I think as far as talent grade here, probably best player available. Not necessarily, though, Greg Thomas, round 1 talent. I just think we're fine at defensive tackle. Yeah, we're going to go wide receiver here. Sylvester Columbo from UCLA is our 2nd round pick, 68 overall, with normal development. He has 90 speed, short and medium route running. Perhaps could take over the slot one day. I kind of like our offseason overall. I know we had a lot of players go to free agency, not everything worked out, but I feel like I've done a decent job today. I'll come away pretty happy with it personally, regardless of what happens next. I feel like I'll be able to go edge rusher here in the 3rd round just fine. There's James Snider. And then the other pass rushers I like have been taken. So we're going James Snider right here. Combine was okay. The bench and vert were solid. Broad jumps to top 10. Delaware State. Delaware State. What is their team mascot? Delaware State. The Hornets. They got red uniforms. They play at a 7,000 seat stadium. They've actually made it to 2 bowl games in their team history, and they are 1-1. Those bowl games were in 1947 and then in 1977. And there is your football history lesson for the day. And now James Snider, the former Delaware State Hornet. 78 speed, 75 block shed, 77 power move. All right. Not the biggest player either. He'll have to prove himself. I'm probably not going to get around to preseason in this episode. The recording's already running pretty long, so I think I'll just abbreviate that for the beginning of the next one. But I hope you guys are enjoying the offseason today. I mean, it's always fun. I don't care at what stage we're at in the series. I love these rebuilds, and I can always find interest in the next offseason. 4th round, what do you do? What do you do here in the 4th round? I don't know. Still got some really good value out there. I think here, kind of interested in these D tackles to bring in more depth. Really like this top 3. I mean, you consider pass rush, run stopping, intangibles. We get very little data in the top 3. When you can check all 3 boxes here at a position, how do you pass? You don't. Alfred Huggins from Michigan State, 68 overall. 80 strength, 76 block shed, 77 finesse. Pretty good athlete, too. Really good. I wonder if he could play end. Possibly. Passed on Isaiah Robbins. He went the very next selection. I just felt really good about our safety situation right now. Felt really good about our picks so far. And now in the 4th round, Dorsett's the best player available. Sometimes it is just that simple. Let's make the pick. Turn it in. Randy Dorsett, 66 hidden. Wow. Hidden dev. Was not counting on that. That's amazing. 85 speed as well. Field general's not far behind. Hello, Randy Dorsett. This might be one of my better drafts in a while. Pretty excited about it. I feel like accomplished that I figured out, how can I solve a problem in a way I haven't before in this game? I drafted a safety to play corner. I'm not, I'm not inventing interesting ideas here. I'm simply exploring them for the first time myself. It's kind of fun. I usually think about moving safety to corner, or corner to safety and not the other way around. But like today's NFL is really all about hybrid skill sets. How much can you do? How much can you not do? The best running backs now are the ones that pick up big plays like scat backs while breaking tackles like power backs and catching the football like a wide receiver. That's what it takes to get paid now at running back. Like, the league is changing in some interesting ways. Then you got safeties like Derwin James that can play pretty much everything besides defensive tackle. I think he could play basically anything but defensive line and start. And I think when it comes to quarterback now, as there are more and more quarterbacks that are so good out of structure, so good running, I think that the expectation has to be, okay, you have to do more than make plays from the pocket. And if that's all you got, you better be a surgeon in the pocket. You got to be versatile. Still got safeties out there I could select. But maybe I'll trade out of this one and then take some shots with my 6 and 7. So let's see if I get a future 4 here. Pretty much a yearly tradition. And I can. And pretty much you can always count on Minnesota not being that good in franchise. Well, they traded up for a 58 overall tight end, so that's not really going to help their draft status next year. We could still take a player with a draftable grade, and this would be the appropriate spot for his talent. We'd actually be getting good value here for Dwight Jenkins. I'm surprised he's not off the board yet. I'm going to take him here. End his fall down the board. 62 overall, 84 speed, 75 finesse moves. And we got one more left. Who is going to be Mr. Irrelevant? Is there anybody that I've scouted? Of course there are. But no draftable grades that I've scouted. But how much do we think that Kasim Travis could end up with a draftable grade? I never fully scouted him. He's the pick. Welcome to the team. Alright, Travis is a 59 overall, which is not bad for last pick of the entire draft. 88 speed, 78 break tackle. Can he block? No, not really. But I am really happy with this draft. I mean, this was not a draft where we picked super high and had the chance to go and take a bunch of 70 overall players. We pick at 32. One top 50 pick. Only a handful of players even make it above the 70s here to begin with. And we came away with Hurst. Really happy about it. You got 3 players here with 68 overall. And then a 66 with hidden dev. That to me feels like a home run. But I gotta go check on the other safety now. I had to figure out who I was going to select. Lyle Conley and Joe Callahan and Jonathan Whitaker. I think all 3 were on my board. I know Callahan and Conley were. This is what happens when you pick super high. Well, Lyle Conley, hidden at 75. The speed's 87, which, I don't like having corners with 87 speed. It can work. 72 zone, 71 man, 73 tackle, 74 awareness. So skill set wise, really well rounded. It's just he's not going to be the fastest player out there. With that being said though, if you are going to have lower speed, I think having high awareness is kind of a necessity. Meanwhile, Brandon Hurst is a lot faster with 75 awareness. His coverage is just a little bit worse. So I'm pretty happy, especially with him having hidden dev as well. I thought about linebacker at first. Kenny Turbin. Lions got sharp uniforms, you know, and no one can really appreciate it because they're never that good. The uniforms are pretty solid. They got a good color scheme too. 86 speed, 77 awareness. Would have been a great difference maker in the middle. Of course, hidden dev, I expected that. Sean Patton, hidden dev. 85 speed. Coverage a bit lower than I thought it would be for day one. Russ Booth to the Carolina Panthers, a hidden dev running back. Whoa, that's a good skill set here. I think the Panthers had a pretty good pick. I was also really curious here about Lamichael Ellis. How high was that zone coverage? 81. For a B+, I thought it'd be a little bit more, but I know it's like in relation to that class. Gives you a ballpark figure. But yeah, he's going to be really good. How about someone like Jazz Beekman? Hidden dev, that's pretty big with him coming in as a 24-year-old rookie. 86 speed. Lower man coverage. He wasn't a hybrid safety, so I didn't really consider him. Alright, that takes us to the preseason, and that's going to be where I end this episode. But I feel we have a really nice roster going into this next season. I was able to get a few key replacement players, and then make some changes, I think, on defense that are going to definitely pay off. We ended up getting Hurst, who can play some corner in the meantime, and maybe move to safety later on. We get a 66 overall hidden dev linebacker we can put as a focus player and immediately begin developing. Pretty cool stuff. Hope you enjoyed today's episode, everybody. I hope you had a good time with it. Please leave a like and subscribe if you did. I know I talked a lot on the beginning of the episode about, like, you know, maybe looking at doing bigger series on older games and, you know, being down on where Madden 21's at. So any feedback you have, very valuable. Would love to hear it. Thank you for your support, and I'll see you all next time. Have a great day.